Hello and welcome to the PunchCast episode 10. I'm your host, Evan, and with me this week, as pretty much always, is Kevin.
I'm here, and because other people can't show up, and yes.
Because this week has been a giant, swirling toilet of failure.
They don't need to know that. We were recording this episode exactly when it was meant to be recorded.
No problems at all?
Nope.
Everything went fine?
Yeah.
And returning after somewhat of a hiatus, Jordan.
Ryu ga waga teki wo corral.
Nerds.
That's a good one. Let's see what's happening right now. A lot of things are happening, but we'll give Jordan the floor so he can hopefully take this and go real long with it.
Yeah. So I've been pretty much just taking this time trying to come up with some creative juice flowing. I haven't been writing a lot for the site just because it hasn't been cracking for me. So yeah, I've been taking this time to cut into my backlog and also use some credit I had at GameStop and some birthday money to take advantage of the buy two get one. And I bought a just ton of games that I wanted to try and a lot of rebuilding my collection that I kind of got rid of when I got my PS4, stuff that I regretted getting rid of, like Silent Hill HD or Downpour, Evil Within, that kind of thing. And so I've just been playing a shit ton of stuff in between, like trying to get creative juices flowing for starting development on a game or a book or whatever the fuck I decide to do. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of Just Cause 3, a lot of Evil Within, some Alien Isolation, and Catherine are probably the big ones, among others. And also cracking in my just backlog of stuff that I bought and wanted to play. Like I played like 3 hours of Manhunt last night, and I played some Bully, and been playing some Resident Evil 5 and yada yada. But what I kind of really want to talk about, and just because I need a pedestal, because I'm not probably going to write, I don't think it's worth writing about for the site, but I really want to talk about Street Fighter V story mode that came out.
It's just terrible.
I mean, yeah. But god damn, what a thing. So this came out as part of the, and it technically didn't even make June. It was supposed to be the June update, but it got pushed to July 1st. So Street Fighter has gone essentially 2 full months without any content updates, no characters, no nothing.
Yeah, didn't they miss the Ibuki was supposed to be out like a while ago, and they pushed it to go with the story update?
Yep, Ibuki and Balrog dropped at the same time. They're fine, but man, I really wanted this. I figured that this would be MKX I put 200 hours into. I fucking played the shit out of that game, but there's not nearly as much. I could go to MKX right now and get a match in seconds. Street Fighter, it doesn't matter if it's ranked or casual, I'm waiting minutes at least. Which is kind of, unacceptable in a way, but also just the way... God, they should have just waited to release it. Everything that happened with them releasing it in time for the Pro Tour has just fucking put a bullet in this game's knee. And people waiting to buy it until the story mode, the story mode is not, it's not worth that. It is 4 hours-ish, if I had to guess, maybe less than that, which is I don't know, standard fare for a fighting game. That's okay. Injustice clocked around there, MKX clocked around there. But I just don't think it's, narratively, I think it's incredibly weak. The stuff they do with the characters, and I'm trying not to compare it too much to, NetherRealm story modes, but that's kind of, it's only contemporary. And you look at, what they did, especially with Mortal Kombat X, which I really enjoyed, even though I thought the ending was weak as shit. They had a lot of, political intrigue and different character motivations clashing and melding and they pulled off a couple really nice twists. This is essentially, just a fucking, a bad G.I. Joe episode. The bad guys are bad, the good guys are good, and guess what? We're all gonna go fight the dudes and stuff. And, the worst part about it is that they don't pay attention as much to, the classic characters, like you would want. There was a cool moment with, Nash and Guile that's oh, fuck, this is alright. And some Ken and Ryu stuff. But they focus so fucking much on, they focus a lot on one of the new villains, Fong. And they focus a lot on one of the new good guys, Rashid. And, they are essentially the, fuck Bison and all that. They're kind of the main enemy and main protagonist of this story, which is shitty because they suck. You guys can laugh because it's Street Fighter is kind of a fucking dumpster fire. As much as I love this series and like this game, I will throw this fucking thing under the bus because it is a dumpster fire. But the way Fong and Rashid are both written and animated, and like the voice acting is so at odds with what is displayed on the screen, in a very anime way. Like Rashid is very overly expressive for comedic effect in a way that would work if it was 2D animation, but it doesn't work because the voice actor is like delivering deadpan while the character model is like jumping up and down hysterically, and it's just this super jarring thing. They're both total shitbags, and Fong dies like 3 goddamn times and he never stays dead, and I was just so fucking done with his just like ridiculous dancing around the fucking screen ass by the I'm thinking about it and I'm starting to get angry again because he's such an awful, shitty character. Yeah, so the Street Fighter story mode, not that great, and Street Fighter still kind of a dumpster fire. Fuck. Fuck. And it's sad because the one character I'm like really waiting for is Jari, and I think she plays great. You get to play her a little bit in the campaign, and I am so afraid that by the time she comes out, presumably next month, the community will be dead. And I don't know. I have Ultra Street Fighter 4 on my PS4, and I can go back and play that and get a match almost instantly, and that's a fucking port of a game that came out 6 years ago. This game, it might be the netcode. I kind of doubt it because the netcode's been fairly stable, but it just seems like nobody's playing this. A lot of people in the FGC just aren't super happy with where it's at. Fuck, man. I don't know. Street Fighter.
This game was dead to me a long time ago.
Yeah. I don't know. I tried to just hold out hope and fight the good fight, but it's hard with every, just taking into account every twist and turn that this game has had along its path to being in my hot little hands. I don't know, man. I would go back to playing Mortal Kombat. I should just go back to playing Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat X was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to take a slow, hot moment to really think about it when this game was kind of about to come out, and realize that fighting games for me are fun, but I never really get into the multiplayer side, which is kind of the point eventually, I guess, for a lot of people. And this game came out with none of the stuff that I would want to play, which is basically, just ladder matches and daily whatever weird stuff's happening and stuff like that. Just because I was never interested really in, fighting some guy online, because they were always better than me. No matter what. The 9-year-old playing for his first time was somehow better than me, but.
And I mean that the lack of single player shit sucks, and especially, I don't know if I ever got to talk about it on a podcast before, but the stuff that they did put in there fucking blows. Especially the survival mode, which I don't know if either of you guys have heard, but the difficulty on that is just fuck busted, because you will play a match of, I think it's 30 rounds, 30 fucking fights, and that's a half hour to 45 minutes of your time, and the last 5 rounds the AI will kick it up from normal to hard without fucking telling you. And in fighting games, there's a pretty big difference between normal and hard, and they will just fucking lock you down in a corner and combo you to death. So that's shitty. They still don't have any kind of ladder. The story modes for the individual character ones are just paper thin and just play out with these super just horribly drawn backgrounds, just unbelievably bad backgrounds. This is hire a fucking artist, just one, and fix that shit. It's just a series of bewildering choices locked within this game that plays and performs, and at some point in the story mode, some of that shit looks real good. Some of those character models, they get up close and they're animating, it's god damn, this is pretty nice sometimes, but it just, I don't know, that fuck, man. Been bumming me out because I keep thinking, man, maybe I should go back and play some more Street Fighter, because they got the alternate costumes and stuff coming out, but all of that shit is just that. A lot of that shit is locked behind money too. You can't even buy the premium costumes with the fight money that you get, which is fucking just yeah. That game continues to be a bullshit factory. But I've also been playing a lot of, well, not a lot, a little bit of Just Cause 3, and that game is kind of kind of doing it for me. I don't know, I've been playing a lot of horror games and adventure games and other stuff to like get the creative juices flowing. A lot of games that are kind of heavier, with puzzles and a lot more slow burns. And man, Just Cause is a game where you could put nitrous on a tractor and put C4 on it and blow some people up. So I'd call that a change of pace. And it's kind of actually making me want to go back and play Mad Max to a degree, which I know, Kev, you played that, right?
Yeah, I played it and I reviewed it. I think I gave it a 7 something, maybe. I mean, I enjoyed it. It just wasn't, I was like, the car combat was the absolute best part.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because as I was playing through the Technomancer recently, some of the stuff in that game kind of like looks and feels like Mad Max as far as like some of the like hand-to-hand combat goes, some of the just general feeling of everything looking like a junk pile. And it honestly made me want to go back and play Mad Max a little bit, because I know it was on sale too, pretty sure on PS4, because I played on Xbox One when I originally reviewed it, and I was like, oh yeah, I didn't play that on PS4. Maybe I'll go back. Maybe I will. I know like Evan and I have talked about how like there's been like some, notable releases, but it's been a little bit slower, and something like Mad Max would be something like mostly fun to play. Like I said, I really like the car combat, and I think I put like 30 hours into the game, but I don't think I like unlocked every single thing and like cleared the map 100%. That game might be something I'll return to, just because it was like a fun game for sure.
Yeah. I think they kind of messed up in creating a cool story for that character, but the world they made in that game, I keep thinking about it like in the same terms as Flower in a weird way, where it was just like riding across that just fucking wasteland and going, okay, I'm gonna blow this guy's head off, and then I'm gonna scavenge for some shit and go down into this bunker and look for a collectible. It was this very like kind of quiet chaos, like this almost zen experience to some of that stuff. Also, really great podcast game, which is kind of where Just Cause is. I don't know. It's good to have changes of pace. And I keep thinking about, for whatever reason, like of all the open world games, I keep thinking about that game. I think like Witcher and Fallout are a little bit too, I don't know, they're too involved to really, I just want to fuck around and maybe get drunk and play this here video game. And I can't really do fighting games or anything when I'm doing that. So yeah, I don't know. Mad Max I think about that game every now and again. And even though it ate my fucking 40-hour save that never got backed up, I'm like, maybe I would play that again.
Yeah, I saw it on sale one time and it was $7, and that's how much I didn't want to play that game, and I didn't buy it.
No. I mean, and Warner, it is a Warner game, and they do pretty good stuff with their sales, so.
Yeah, it's made, by those people, and I'm not a fan of kind of how those games play for the most part. Like, I heard good things about the cars and all that other junk, but it just wasn't enough, and it was like, that's going to be a long game, and there's going to be I got other stuff to do. Nah, I'll pass.
I think Just Cause has a similar problem where it is like, oh, you guys just made this beautiful, amazing open world, and then you peppered the exact same thing through it that is supposed to keep me busy for like 80 hours, and it's like, that's a fucking long time. But I think Just Cause's strength is that there is so much like player-made variety there, and also like inherent comedy. Like, I've had a fucking blast just like stringing up civilians in between buildings and retracting the lines, and they just like fly back and forth like a guitar string. Man, I almost cried laughing when I saw that. But like Mad Max kind of doesn't have that, and it's kind of it's a fairly plain game, but I think there's still something to the world that they created that's kind of nice. Dare I say therapeutic.
It always looked pretty and stuff, but and even as much as I like Mad Max, still I was just like, nah, I don't know why. It kind of is a bummer too, because in my head, like a Mad Max game, I'm like, yeah, that sounds rad. I watch those movies and always loved them. It's like, oh, I could be Mad Max, make a car, and, punch a mutant in the face or whatever. That sounds like fun. And then it just didn't appeal to me at all.
Yeah, the car making stuff was actually almost heavy metal in a way. I was just like, fuck, I'm going to put this chrome demon skull on the front of my rig and have flames shooting out the back. But it was like, it was cool in a juvenile way. But yeah, that game is real pretty. Some of the best screenshots I've ever taken were in that photo mode. Like some just really fucking awesome shit. Oh, speaking of, I actually did want to talk about this too. Speaking of juvenile ways, I got to play Drawn to
Bully.
Death.
Oh, man.
Oh, well, I could talk about Bully. I could fucking talk about Bully for days. But Drawn to Death, which is, you guys know about Drawn to Death?
Nope. I don't
It
know
is
yet,
the
this.
PS4 exclusive, like, third-person deathmatch shooter from the mind of David Jaffe of Twisted Metal and God of War, I believe, fame. And around E3, PlayStation was housing their, like, online PlayStation experience shit. And I kind of looked into that because you could get some exclusive Gravity Rush avatars, which is something I'm quite into. And one of those things was like, hey, watch this video and we'll send you a beta code. So I watched a video, they sent me a beta code, and that game fucking blows. Which is too bad because, like, the big draw of it, I mean, it does. It fucking just sucks ass. Because, like, the draw of that game is that it takes place inside of, like, you know, an angsty middle schooler's notebook. And if you could actually, like, go Google some screenshots of that shit, because, like, I think the graphical style is pulled off really well. But it is, like, the edginess that it strives for, it really fucking tries to go there. Like, the opening tutorial has this weird, you know, frog creature telling you what to do and calling you a cocksucker. And then, like, in the opening, like, the enemy you fight is this cat in a mech with, like, a robot cat head. And yeah, it's just, man, it's a real fucking bad game, which is too bad because I think the art style they pull off quite nicely, and I think other than that it looks cool, but it's just like, oh man, like the main character, I don't know, it's kind of Overwatchy in a way, I guess. Each character has like 2 abilities, and there are like 5 or 6 characters to choose from, including, like, you know, a killer clown and a killer teddy bear and, you know, a killer dominatrix and a killer punk rocker, but they have you starting off in the tutorial with this punk rock shitbag fucker. Every time you pull off a special move, which in the tutorial is quite a bit, he gives the same fucking line of dialogue, which I can't quite make it out, but it goes something like, you cocksucker, and it's, man, it gets old real fast. Oh, fuck that game. Yeah, if you're thinking about spending money on that thing when it comes out, just don't. Save yourself time and money.
I played it at E3 last year, and I was not a fan of it, kind of like what you said. Like, it had some interesting things. Obviously, like, the graphical style was entirely the most interesting part, but then it does tend to go towards, like, it feels like you're in a notebook from the kid from Toy Story, like, his notebook, like, what his notebook would look like, and not in a good way, kind of. So yeah, when PSN, like, yelled at me, like, hey, take part in the beta test, or whatever it was doing, I was like, I was tempted to, but I was like, no, I personally didn't find anything redeeming in what I played last year. And I was like, maybe something has changed, but for the most part, like, no one else has been talking about it either, despite, like, some of the network tests. So I was like, probably not a lot has changed, and it's just kind of not my thing for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think, you know, it plays especially well. It kind of has this, you know, very far back, almost like the original Max Payne camera to all the shooting, which is, you know, in a world where we have like Uncharted and Gears of War and other great third-person multiplayers, it's not quite up to snuff. Yeah, so that thing sucks. It actually reminds me of another experience I had recently, which was a brush-in with the Human Centipede 3, which is just like, I have this just utter despise of things that are offensive to just be offensive, and they serve no other, like even if it's shitty postmodernism that they're trying to strive for, that would be something, but yeah, it's just tactless and crude for no other reason. It kind of reminds me of when I was playing through God of War 3, when I got that for Black Friday, I decided to play through that. There is a scene in that, like, that game came out like 5 years ago, and if it came out today, that scene, the fucking developers would have been crucified over it. Do you guys remember a sex scene in that game?
Yeah. There's one in every game, multiple.
Well, the one I'm talking about is so fucking ridiculous. It basically, you kill this goddess chick's husband, like fucking murder him.
And then you go and hang out with Aphrodite.
It's right before I think you hang out with Aphrodite. You like have the option to bang this woman. And while you're banging her, she has like 2 handmaidens in the corner who like start touching each other and making out with each other while they're watching. And it's just like this incredibly like the women are just these huge breasted monstrosities. It's just like this tasteless display that feels from a bygone era. I feel like a lot of that is in Drawn to Death. Like, if this came out 5 or 6 years ago, it may have flown, but you know what? Actually, I don't even think so, because I think a lot of that shit is sub Duke Nukem levels of jokes and shit. So no, it's just a bad game. Never mind. Yeah, that game's a real pile. Fuck.
Yeah, I've never even heard of this. This is all news to me.
And it's actually, I don't know, is one of PlayStation's. When did they fucking debut that thing? It was like at TGS or some shit. And I don't know, they haven't been focusing a lot on it, and I think there is a good reason for that. I don't think this is going to be like the next Until Dawn.
Can't wait till we get another one of those.
Hey, you have the
No,
Festival of Blood, whatever. Festival of Scary Clowns.
It's a festival of
right?
sadness, because I don't hate that that's being made.
No, it would probably be pretty alright.
It'll be okay, yeah, but like not what anyone really wants from like a sequel to that or something with that name on it.
No, but I do kind of wish that more horror franchises spun themselves out nowadays. I feel like in the early 2000s, you know, you had a lot of like spin-offs and stuff of Resident Evil and Silent Hill and those. And some of those were pretty fucking good. Some were bad. Like Gun Survivor, but you know, you had stuff like Code Veronica or, you know, Silent Hill Origins. And I was really hoping that Dead Space wouldn't, I don't know, die off as early as it did. And
Sadness.
I kind of want Evil Within to start taking off like that. I'd love, I don't know, I'm just really interested to see if they do an Evil Within 2. There was a moment at Bethesda's conference before Prey, like, was revealed as Prey and it was Arcane working on it, where I thought to myself that, what if this is Tango's game and they just become like a horror game developer? Like, every single game they make is different. It's like third person, zombie, or open world, or first person, but it's all like horror. And I was like, that'd be pretty alright.
Yeah, I'd be down for a sequel to that game for sure. Or something along those lines.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been playing that too, and fuck. So I reviewed that game. It was my first review for 8-Bit Chimp, and I would go as far as to say I regret the score I reviewed it. I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's actually a pretty good game, but I do not think it's the amazing title that I reviewed it as. Man, that game's story is just like bonkers in a shit way. Like, it is asinine and like I would say sophomoric in a lot of ways, because it is like, it reminds me of like the shitty horror fiction I used to write in middle school, where it was like, here is some blood and guts, and then some half-assed symbolism, and then this happens, the end. And I actually want to play the DLC, because from what I understand, they have a framing device on one of the characters as working for this, like, larger corporation, trying to keep tabs on the proceedings in Evil Within, and I would like a sequel to be, like, tied together by that, like, corporation or agency or whatever, this thin thread connecting all this crazy shit that happens, because I would hate if they followed a narrative through line from that first game. Like, from the character to the antagonist, I think not only is that shit, like, done and over with by the end of that game, but it didn't have much to go. Also, really fucking weird part of that game, and I don't think anybody else, well, I've never had this brought up to me. So, that game is set in a place called Crimson City, which is the worst fucking name for a city right next to Condemn's Metro City. And it's Crimson spelled with a K. And every single, or most of the characters in that game, I noticed this, have, like, Spanish or Hispanic names. And it's fucking weird, because, like, I'm led to believe that Crimson City is like a analog to New York or something like that, but it can't be, because, like, there was this wall of, like, baptism certificates in one of the Nightmare sequences, and all of them were like Rodriguez or Castellanos or, you know, some shit like that. And I don't know, it's just the weirdest thing for this developer centered in Japan. Man, it's super weird. It's been bugging me all day. Anyway, that's pretty much all. Well, yeah, I've been playing some Manhunt, trying to play Siren, because,
oh god,
I don't know,
that game's weird as hell.
That game is, not only is it weird as hell, and, like, it's a PS2 horror game, so it's going to be unintuitive as shit, but that game is hard as balls, and just has the fucking most useless partner AI. I can't get past the second point.
Yeah, that was one of those games back in the day where you're like, you play it and you're like, I can't figure it out. It doesn't work. It's broken.
It's like, it's kind of like, I don't know, I played Manhunt last night, and there was this point in that game where there's a point in retro games, or I'm calling them retro, I mean, they're over a decade old, but where shit just clicks. you know? And it's not like, you know, Mario or even I think Bully and GTA, like those hold up well enough. Like we still see games with familiar elements, but in a game that's third person, but if you're standing still and you press up on the right stick, it sends you into a first person mode that you can't move around in. It's just like, you have to get in a zone for those games. But playing Siren has really made me, I don't know, it's really made me want more PS2 games on PS4 of the horror variety. There were a couple of them on PS3. The Fatal Frame trilogy came to PS3, but I would really love to see PlayStation go out of the way and get some underrated shit. Like, I'd love to see Rule of Rose, or Haunting Ground, which are from Capcom and Atlas, and they put out all the Persona games on PS3, so I don't think Atlas would be too hard up to do that, but those are horror games that are like still not very well emulated and also kind of rare in disc copy and also like $200 used. So, and I'd love to play those. Also, I keep dreaming just that somebody at Konami will flip a switch and just put out all the 5 Silent Hill PS2 games on PS4.
Yeah, you wish.
I would buy them all just instantly. They could price them at $20 a pop. They would all be mine. And the reason I have this just unintelligible glimmer of hope is like a couple weeks ago. So backstory here. When I first bought my Vita, I was so psyched that I could finally like scoop up all the like PSP games I had missed, which is not the case, because there are a shit ton of PSP games that like never were available digitally or like licensing wise never came to Vita, like Silent Hill, Shattered Memories, and Kingdom Hearts. But anyway, I bought Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops because it was like the sequel to Metal Gear 3 directly and the one I had never played, and found out I couldn't play it on Vita. This was like 2 years ago. And some Tuesday last month, Portable Ops and Portable Ops Plus just show the fuck up under the new release list on Vita, which is bizarre. So I don't know what's going on with that kind of stuff, but Konami, I mean, if there's some, you know, programmer you're holding hostage in your basement, just tell him to flip the switch on that stuff. I'll throw some claims your way, and then we'll never have to talk to each other again, you cunts. Sorry. I still get mad about Konami sometimes.
Yeah.
Like playing through, sorry, I'm just going off systematically through all the games I've been playing.
It's fine with me.
Playing through Silent Hill Downpour and the HD collection again.
How was that? I never played that because it was overwhelmingly negative when it came out.
Downpour?
Yeah.
So Downpour is probably one of the greatest, I would say it's might be like my personally underrated game of last generation, because it has, that game has so much potential. And so in 2012, it was a pretty good year to like be a Silent Hill fan. You had the Vita title, you had HD collection, and you had Downpour, but Konami systematically managed to fuck each one up. First by imposing crazy limits on, I'll go 2 for 2 here. I'll start with Downpour. They imposed crazy fucking timetable limits on that team, which is such a shame because that game had so much promise. And I think a lot of the stuff they executed on was actually done pretty well. But like they took a step back from Homecoming. They took a lot of cues from other like narrative games, mostly like Alan Wake and some Uncharted and a lot of Dead Space. Like you can fucking see it all over the place in the camera angles and in like the choices. Man, I don't know. That game still has a pretty damn good story, some pretty good characters, some pretty good moments, but like it is so hampered by technical issues. It's not unplayable by any means, but like fuck, man, it is framey as shit, and some of the textures don't look great up close. I still, if you have a PS3, it's like $13 at GameStop. I still think it's worth a play. I think the story is still kind of unlike any other game. Remembering the way it was fucking like a wasted opportunity. Like if that team had another half a year to work on it, I think we would like have 2 more Silent Hill games out by now. It seriously would have bumped it up from like a 6 to an 8 or a 9. It's just those technical issues are so drastic in a way. Yeah, and that game is, man, what a fucking shame. What a fucking shame. And the other half of that coin is, and let me ask you guys a question. If you have 2 games in one of your biggest series coming out in a calendar year, how far would you space those apart? Like 2 releases?
Enough. I don't know.
And if one of those releases were 2 games that nobody had played in a while, that were like I don't know, Silent Hill 2 and 3 packaged together, would you say give the team that needed it some extra time to work on one of those games and then release Silent Hill 2 and 3 around spring or summer? So by the time fall rolled around, you could release the other one and have hype built up?
Yeah.
Because that would be a logical thing to do. But not Konami. No, Konami is going to release Silent Hill Downpour in May, and then Silent Hill HD a fucking week later. And they fucking just buried, 2012 is it. So Silent Hill HD is one of my personal favorite HD collections because of how fucking awful it is that they could not get two games that were over a decade old that ran flawlessly on the PS2 to run properly on the PS3. Konami gave a port house, it wasn't even a port house, it was a developer that had mostly done mobile games. They gave them incomplete versions of the Silent Hill 2 and 3 code to work with. And the result is things like incomplete fog on all the maps. And I shit you not, during some cutscenes, there's a specific cutscene on a beach with a telephone wire trailing off, or it's supposed to be trailing off into the fog, but there's no fog to cover it up, so you can just see the telephone wire suspended in midair, just going into nowhere. And my personal favorite is another cutscene where, inexplicably, a character's eye texture has been replaced with the texture for her teeth.
God, it's terrifying.
Yeah, no, that's fucked up. And then another, other little shit, when you get the bonus weapon, the submachine gun in Silent Hill 3, if you continually fire it long enough, the sounds will start to overlap till it's just this cacophonous static, and then eventually it will cut out all sound for the game. It is just, it's a fucking shoddy piece of work that is the only way we have to play these two great games. Man, it makes me fucking hate Konami.
I guess they suck.
A lot of people in the last 2 years, with reason, have been like, man, fuck you, Konami. But Silent Hill fans have felt this way
for a decade.
For so much longer. For so much longer. It's been a rough fucking road to be a Silent Hill fan, man. Anyway. Oh, I've also been playing Layers of Fear.
Hey, Kevin played that.
Yay. What have you, or how far are you?
I just got done with the stuff in the doll room and all the doll stuff, so I think I'm pretty close to wrapping it up-ish.
Well, what have you thought so far? Because I know Liam, JC, and I were all pretty big fans, actually, and they just announced they're going to be doing some DLC for it later this summer. I don't know if there's a date, but we are actually all excited for that, which is nice, because it was definitely a smaller release, so.
Horror for me is a very fickle thing because I'm very particular about it, and I really immediately like something that is original in its storytelling and really dislike things that are not. So I would say that there are things about that game that I really dislike and things about that game that I really like. I like some of the jump scares, even though I'm not a big fan of jump scares. And this is just a general horror thing. As I'm playing Evil Within, and I think I'm actually replaying Dead Space a little bit too. I'm so fucking tired of the tropes of leaving notes behind. Especially notes that are like, oh god, he's coming for me, somebody please help. It's who are you writing this to? Who is going to help you when somebody is breaking through the door and they discover your note? Is the bad guy gonna look at it oh, I'm sorry man, I didn't mean to spook you. Oh god. And there is some good notes in there. I don't know. I think the story itself is the problem, is the thing I have a problem with. It's basically, it's the Amityville Horror, or it's The Shining, or it's Silent Hill 2, or it's any number of other things where husband goes crazy, somewhat resents his wife, kills wife, but we're going to make you find out the mystery anyway. But I think it is, I don't know, it's a very good looking game, even if it doesn't super perform well on Xbox One. And I think there is some interesting stuff they do with, the doll room has been my favorite part. When horror gets surreal in really fucked up ways, I'm into it. So when you have faces of dolls peeking through human-sized doors, I'm down. But some of that stuff just isn't doing it for me. When that doll ran into that fucking wall over and over again, I was a couple beers deep, but I lost my fucking mind laughing. And it's some stuff like that where they don't quite have pacing down very well, or guiding you to what you're supposed to be doing. So you kind of get this effect of running into the same jump scare or that kind of thing, which is supposed to be disturbing, but you're doing it over and over again, and it's immediately just becomes this, oh, right, you're a video game. You are going by what your programming is telling you to do because I'm walking through this door again. So some of that stuff needs some work, but I think it's a very talented team. The voice acting is very good. I would love to see, I don't know, I'd like to see what they do next, because a lot of this stuff was my complaints about Outlast. I thought Outlast is not a very good game. I have not been shy about telling people that. But I think Whistleblower, like, kind of improves upon the aspects of insane asylum crazy person story, which is another very well-trod, let's say.
Super tired saying I'm so sick of it.
Yeah. Like, if I have to play another horror game that takes place in a goddamn mental hospital, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Ugh. Playing through Silent Hill 2, 3, Downpour. I'm also playing a little bit of Silent Hill 1 and Origins on my Vita. And even in fucking, like, I bought Saw, which isn't a great game, but it's not that bad. It's okay.
I love those movies, though.
Yeah, I would actually say that Saw the game is better than much of those movies. That first game. Also, another thing from Konami, they made one Saw game that was like a 7 out of 10, and it was kind of a fucking miracle considering how bad some of those movies get. And then they just, like, reused assets and scrapped together Saw 2, and it was like a fucking 3 out of 10. Anyway, hashtag fuck Konami. And, like, the entire game is in a mental hospital. And it's like, I love me some, like, dilapidated urban architecture. Condemned Criminal Origins hit me at the right time to really imprint that on my creative faculties, where I'm like, man, I love going through some fucking subway tunnels and some old crusty ruins, but man, hospitals are super played out. Anyway, that's my Outlast rant. Yeah, Layers of Fear. I give it a pretty good out of okay. It's not bad. It reminds me of, did you guys play The Park at all?
Nope. You talked about this several weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, it came out a couple months ago. It came out right alongside Neverending Nightmares, and I had a field day. I actually meant to do reviews. It was right as we were switching sites, but Park is actually a pretty, like, has some pop-in issues, but, like, the frame rate's mostly stable. Pretty good story, kind of predictable, but it does reuse, like, the PT thing, which Layers of Fear also does. The, like, oh shit, you're in a hallway, but something's different. And that's another thing I kind of have with the horror genre, is I love me my horror. I think it's probably one of the best storytelling genres. Sorry if I'm ranting here, but every single time, like, a horror thing hits it big, everybody is going to take from it. You saw it, like, it goes all the way back to Resident Evil. And fucking Resident Evil taking Alone in the Dark and turning it into a playable game. And then you just fucking spun it off into every direction. And then, you know, it happened with Amnesia. And then you spun off into, like, Outlast and Alien Isolation. And then PT is, like, the latest one where it's like, we're going to take these really psychological, fun tricks, except we're just going to do them again. Except you've already seen them, so it's not really clever, but man, we really liked it in PT, so we hope you'll like it. Kind of pisses me off, but The Park is really good. It's also like $13. It's one of the better walking simulators, I guess you could call it, I've played. Pretty good story, pretty good premise. Like, exploring a facsimile of a theme park or a local theme park is pretty damn haunting, especially considering I have one of those in my neck of the woods. It's not that far off. Like, we have this place called Silverwood over here, and I actually went there recently with my family, and as I was walking around this kind of, like, what would you call it? Just a, place where you have, like, knock the teeth out of the clown games and the skee ball and
like the row of, like, actual carnival games.
Yeah. Like the carnival alley, I guess you would call it. And as I was walking around it, I got little flashes to, like, these fucking creepy clown things that, like, scared the bejesus out of me. Yeah, it's Park is alright. Anyway, what have you guys been playing?
Oh, Kev, why don't you go first, since we're pretty much on the same page?
Oh, I do want to give a shout out to Fury. Liam did review that.
Oh, yeah.
Review is up on the site. He gave it an 8.5, I want to say. That sounds right.
Yep.
I have not, I didn't beat it yet. I played through about half of it. So I beat it. I think there's 8 bosses, I want to say, and I'm on the 4th one. So yeah, it's...
How does the story get in that? Because I was really interested in the story. Gameplay not really doing it for me.
I mean, I'm not too far to say. I mean, you're just trying to escape from this floaty sky prison, kind of, and essentially it's like a gauntlet of bosses, so
right.
I don't know what direction the story takes exactly, but overall I have been enjoying. I wasn't sure how I felt about, like, twin stick shooter / hack and slash, but I have actually really enjoyed the combat. There are some cool bosses. It kind of throws you right into it too. And there's a great system, I think, of how like your lives work, and each boss has like different, essentially not transformations exactly, even though some of them do, but kind of different stages that the fight takes. And it does a really good job of balancing that with your lives, opposed to some like hack and slash games. It's like, oh, you die, you have to completely start over. I think it does a really smart way of setting up these different kind of checkpoints within the boss fights, since it is all boss fights. There is some pretty bad walking sections, and I know Liam agreed with me. There's just some kind of wonky controls, and it kind of gets like super drawn out in some of the walking sections, but I have actually really been enjoying those boss fights. I'll probably go back to that. That's the first thing that I played in a while, because I had not played very much over the last week. Jumped into that and wanted to give it a shout out for Liam's sake, since he's off high on morphine again or something, trying not to die.
I think when we get to Game of the Year, if we have a like style award, that game has some fucking style. It really, it's made by the same, or not made by the same, but like the characters and stuff are designed by the same dude who did a lot of the Afro Samurai designs, but it really is evoking that like Afro Samurai. I fucking love Afro Samurai is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah, looks real good. Super impressive. Just like out the gate as an indie release. Just the scope and the kind of, even if it's very kind of vague with its storytelling, it's still, a lot of the voice acting is really good. It's ambitious. A kind of ambition I want to see more in independent developers. I don't want to see any more pixel platformers.
Yeah, and that's something Liam really talked about, how like this is kind of what like the PlayStation Plus titles should be, kind of like these smaller, semi-unknown kind of indies who really do kind of pack a punch. So I know Liam really hit on that, and I definitely agree with him, because we saw it kind of like with Rocket League, that kind of exploded, but 9 times out of 10 it's not as great as month to month. I know like some people do complain, but free games are free games, but it is nice to see PlayStation Plus kind of be a platform for a relatively unknown game to kind of get a lot more traction, which is kind of, month to month, it is kind of what PlayStation Plus should be, and it is often, but not every month.
Yeah. I think Grow Home hit some of those same notes of like, wow, this is like a super interesting thing. It's kind of almost a like PlayStation 1 era throwback. Yeah. I like when indie games, or indie devs rather, have balls. Like they aren't afraid to take risks, or like just the idea of, I'm going to make this third person, boss rush hack and slash thing, and then we're gonna fucking put like twin stick shooter in it. That's interesting. In a way that's way more fulfilling, I think, than something like Broforce or, Ultra Pixel Super Adventure Force, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, but so then moving on, I guess I'll go with Inside next, since we'll probably close out with talking all about the Pokemons. But yeah, finally got around to playing Inside. I should have done this obviously when it came out, but I finally borrowed my brother's Xbox, and I played through that this afternoon and collected all the things and saw the first ending and then the second ending, and I'm not on as high. I guess I'm high on it, like, I do feel like it's in the 9.95 range. I don't know. It didn't invoke a ton from me, honestly. Like, it had some cool concepts, some great ideas. Definitely feel like mechanically everything worked leaps and bounds above what they did with Limbo, and there were a lot more interesting puzzles, and you weren't just kind of like, you were pushing some boxes around and that sort of thing, but I felt like the puzzles had a lot more meaning to do with like the narrative, but I don't...
Some of them are also huge too, like these, like, you're spanning multiple, like, kind of mini areas, pulling things from here, there, this and that. I liked the puzzles a lot, and where they didn't ever really feel mundane, and then there wasn't like that same Limbo shock value of like go in and die, and then you kind of figure it out. Like anytime I died in this, it was like, because I probably didn't react fast enough, but there's always like kind of a way to avoid it. I don't think there's really any like required deaths in this game, like there is in Limbo almost.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Which just definitely did help with the pacing, because you weren't like constantly dying over and over just because the game wanted you to, oh gross, there's a kid getting impaled on a stick again. Some of these were like, oh shit, I should have jumped that fence and now this dog is eating my face. That's great. Some Game of Thrones levels of violence in this for sure. But I loved it. I don't know. when it comes to like thinking about some of the experiences that have come up and probably will come up this year, I don't know. It just didn't evoke a ton from me. I know there is some definitely interesting stuff with like, if you saw like the secret ending, like who's controlling who and kind of like what the whole point is. There's some interesting stuff with that, but I don't know. It just didn't evoke a ton of emotion or anything super thought provoking for me. It's still a fantastic and phenomenal experience. And, I definitely agree with most of the stuff that Jer said. Can't be here to, talk about it himself this week again, but, definitely, a great little game.
Yeah, it seems like I don't know. I've tried Limbo several times. I just don't think it's for me. Like, I think that I've heard about the ending, but I think that game kind of, if you've seen, the first hour or so of that game, you've kind of seen it all. Yeah. So does this like, without getting into spoilers, of course, does it get like at something, deep and philosophical in a really cool way, or what?
I mean, we can talk spoilers if we want to. I mean, it's been a week now, and
it's like a 4-hour game. You should have finished it.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about spoilers, yeah.
I mean, I don't know, does Jordan actually care?
If it's something cool that, like, would blow my mind otherwise, I'll care, but I don't know. I've heard the ending of that game spoken in hushed tones for the last week.
I don't think it's
just want to.
It's nothing that blows your mind. Like
it's neat.
Yeah, at the end, it's kind of interesting what happens. I wouldn't say it's not like the end of like obviously like BioShock or BioShock Infinite or something that gives you chills. Like it's like I said, it comes down to like who's controlling who and kind of those sort of themes. But I wouldn't say it's anything completely mind blowing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like everybody was coming off of E3, like kind of hyped about that game, and just based off that trailer they showed, which was just like that trailer was a big nothing. I was like, man, from the makers of Limbo, I guess, like that it's probably going to be okay. Yeah. I'm sure it's okay. Limbo did not mean enough for me, and this game is not, the people who are singing its praises, I do not necessarily always agree with them, so I will wait. If this comes up in Game of the Year talks, I'll probably have played it by then, so.
I mean, I'd say it's definitely on my list of, like, really awesome games that have come out this year, but as for, like, oh man, Game of the Year, like, I don't know, there's way too much else out that I know I'm gonna love to really claim any sort of grandiose title for this, but I really liked it, and after it was over, I was like, wow, that was really cool and weird and kind of scary at times, and it was fun and pretty, and it was all presented really well. It is definitely like, here, there's Limbo, and then there's this, which is like better in every way, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's cheap, and you sit down in the afternoon and play it.
Well, how much is it? Like 20?
It's like $15. I know it is $20, right? I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. My pocket bank's kind of tight right now.
Alright, what else, Kev?
Yep, and then the game I have been playing the absolute most of, as is the rest of the world, apparently, is Pokemon Go.
I'm hearing early Game of the Year buzz. I hear the ending's fucking crazy.
It'll blow your mind when
the gyms don't work.
Yeah, Gary comes up and kicks you right in your teeth and steals all your Pokemon, and it's like, start over.
He comes to your door and just takes your phone.
Spoilers for Pokemon Go. The camera pans out and you've been the player the whole time.
No, camera pans out and you're in like a Truman Show style dome thing where all these people are being kept and all these Pokemon are being kept too, and then the outside world's looking at you laughing.
I can tell you who I'm looking at laughing every fucking time I see somebody post about this thing.
Who?
Anybody who's playing this thing. Fuck.
To each their own. Just for me, I did download it the night it came out, as did my brother. And
yeah, I was waiting like in the App Store for it to come live.
Yeah, because it's not even like when they announced it was like, oh, cool, that's cool, Pokemon. I grew up with Pokemon. I played like Blue, Red, Yellow. I think I played some of Silver and Gold, and then I stopped playing for a long time. I've dabbled in like the last couple, but not really. So I mean, like Pokemon has always been there. I used to wake up on Saturday mornings, watch. I would be up at like I think they came on at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock, which was super early for a weekend, being in elementary school when you would want to sleep in until like 10 or 11. So I would always get up super early. So it was obviously coming out. My brother and I downloaded it, and it just evokes obviously the Pokemon games have been great on and off. I know there have been issues, but the thing about Pokemon Go, it's like exactly what I imagined catching Pokemon would be like growing up, and it's exactly probably what, 8-year-old, 9-year-old Kevin would have died over had this been a thing then. It's great for kids now that love Pokemon because they can do that now and not have to, go through the handheld games. They can play those as well, but it just evokes kind of like that sense of childhood wonder, like, oh my god, I am actually going out into the world and catching Pokemon. Cause when it came out, like my brother and I, we went down the street to this park where there were a bunch of Pokestops and there were a couple of gyms. We weren't high enough to do them yet, but we just wandered around in the dark trying to catch Pokemon at like 1:30 in the morning. So it's just been hugely interesting too, because like you said, everyone is talking about it. Everyone is doing it. You just go outside, walk down the street, go to the store. You are going to see people playing it. People everywhere are playing it. It is everywhere, and it kind of speaks on kind of how many people have the same feelings as I do and how many people grew up with Pokemon. It's not a great Pokemon game exactly, but it is a great kind of mobile game, because there isn't like the classic, there's some battling, but not exactly. Obviously you're catching Pokemon, but it's not the same. So it's not like a phenomenal kind of representation of what catching Pokemon is in the actual game, but it's a great app and it's getting people out into the world, which is a crazy thing because most of the time you can only really see nerds if you go to like a midnight release at GameStop or something like that, or a convention. I could go out right now, walk down the street to the park that's closest to the house, and I will probably see, at least a handful of people out there catching Pokemon, which is crazy because, that type of thing does not happen unless it's kind of at those events. You might street pass someone if you have a 3DS, like on the bus maybe once or twice and be like, oh, look, there was a nerd on the bus with me. But besides that, it has just been a hugely interesting thing. I definitely think that it has way more legs than Miitomo did, because people played Miitomo for like 2 or 3 days and then that was about it. Pokemon Go is going to have a much, much longer life, especially as they update it with features.
I said bi-weekly updates.
Yeah, they just said that. Bi-weekly updates.
Whatever that means, yeah. Doesn't even mean there's new actual...
No, that's just making sure servers work.
Stability.
And gyms finally work, battery life, all that stuff. But
God, stupid fucking gyms, man. I was at one the other day because there's a couple that are like, a block from my house or something. And I was walking around, I was like, all right, let's stop at this gym real quick, sit down at this bench, because it's by the hospital. And I like fucked the guy up, and I was like, hell yeah, this place is mine now. And then it was like, guess what? He's stuck at 1 HP and he won't die. Yeah. And then he stops attacking, and then the timer runs out, and I was like, well, that was fucked.
Yeah, it just broke. Because the other night, me and a buddy, we just went down to this park that it's like 10-15 minutes away, but we were able to get 3 Pokestops and put lures on all of them. So we were catching Pokemon, and we each leveled up like 3 or 4 times. And then there was like, you can see like if you put lures out, people will come from all over. Like by the time like it got to the end of like our second batch of lures, there was at least like probably 30-40 people all hanging out in this one like park. And it's like, it's crazy because that, like I said, that sort of event does not happen unless you are at a convention or like a midnight release or some type of event. Video games are all about, even if it's online and you're playing with buddies, it's about, sitting on your couch in whatever clothes you are and just kind of not exactly shutting out the world, but you can do that with a lot of games. Like when I played Inside, I just sat here for, 4 or 5 hours just by myself playing through a game. Pokemon Go is the complete opposite because you see people everywhere playing it, and it's like a hugely social game, and you'll walk down the street and you'll see someone out with their phone. And what my buddy was doing, if he sees someone, in the area and he thinks they're playing Pokemon, he's like, gotta catch them all. And they either like say something back or they just give them a super awkward look. But most of the time it's been, people saying something back. So
yeah, me and my roommate met a crazy guy in the cemetery.
Oh, you catch some ghost Pokemon, or you just generally creeped out? That's
what I was hoping was going to happen, and it didn't happen. I was like, man, I really would like a Cubone or something. Nah, nothing, man. It was a mega disappointment.
Yeah. Some of the like location stuff, it's like, since they haven't said anything, and even like the tutorial of the game is fucking non-existent, and there's still debates on like what is the best way to throw a Pokeball.
What the hell actually happens?
Yeah.
What, have you seen the spin thing?
Oh yeah, I tried that. I was like, nope, I wasted like 4 Pokeballs trying. Not gonna do that shit.
Oh really? I actually have like better accuracy doing that than I do just throwing them. Because if I just do it like straight, they often curve one direction.
Oh yeah, they do that all the fucking time, which is
Maybe my phone screen is too big.
No, it does that to me and my brother all the time, where you throw
the
one
worst.
straight and it works fine, and the next one just curves like 12 miles to the right.
What the fuck just happened? Yeah. But the spin thing, I don't know what it does. It makes it all sparkly. But I can, like, totally nail it, like, no matter where it is on screen. I'll just fucking spin that thing, curve it out to the right, comes right back in like a sweet pitch, and then bam, nails him.
Yeah, I mean, overall it's been, obviously there were a bunch of server issues the first couple of days. I haven't seen as many.
There still is a little bit, like today, earlier, it was like, servers are experiencing issues, and I waited like 10 minutes and it was fine.
Yeah.
But
and there's still issues with, like, sometimes, like, Pokeballs freezing, stuff like that, having to, like, reopen the app. But, I mean, overall it's been, it's just been a great experience, and it's creating great kind of social interactions and experiences, which is, like I said, yeah, it's crazy because video games 9 times out of 10 do not do that. There is online multiplayer, that sort of thing, bonding with that. Like, I don't know, like Destiny has kind of created a more of a social online experience, MMOs as well generally, but 9 times out of 10, video games are about, just vegging out, playing a video game for, 4 hours straight, and that's it. And it's been hugely interesting to see, because I know a lot of people have been talking about, like, I know it's been huge on, like, Tumblr and a little bit on Twitter about people who are like, this game has been phenomenal. It's pushing me to go outside to hang out with friends more. And when a video game can, be fun and interactive and also kind of create experiences like that, it's all the better from it, for sure.
I don't know. You're absolutely right. It's been bizarre to watch, though. I was a child when Pokemania, if you could call it that, hit for the first time. And I remember, everybody had the cards and everybody had the cartoons and everybody fucking played the games, and I was right there on the front lines. I probably put, oh god, it would surely embarrass any game that I could remember in the modern context how many hours I probably put into Pokemon. I don't know, it's like this thing has been prolific and how it's just taken over the world in a crazy way. Just like me and my girlfriend were walking through the mall yesterday, and she just was checking her phone real quick, and some dude in the comic book shop was like, "You playing Pokemon Go?" And she's like, "Yeah, what team you on?" Team Mystic, and they like high-five each other. I'm like, this is fucking madness. This is crazy, but it's kind of fucking awesome. It's kind of fucking cool that, I can catch an Eevee in my bathroom or some shit. It's been really awesome. I think that this game has a lot of growing to do, but I also think it will get there. Yeah, I think we eventually will see at least trading among trainers, if not, I think trainer battles would be a huge thing. But the problems that Niantic would have to work out with that would be, stuff relating to how, like, players can see one another, because we've already seen heard some crazy shit happening with people getting robbed and people getting stabbed.
That's why they won't do that. I had that thought too. I was like, man, it'd be cool if there was more social stuff, if I could see where people were. And I was like, no, we can't do that, because then you could just track people down and kill them.
Yeah, yes, I know in like the launch trailer, I think it was either Kotaku or Polygon, they posted like, here are like 5 things from like the launch trailer that still haven't launched. And I know trading was one of them. Obviously it'll have to be, you won't exactly be able to see who's exactly close, but they're going to have to do something so that you can trade. Cause obviously that is a huge feature of Pokemon, and obviously it's in the back of their minds if it was part of that launch trailer. So it'll come. It's just a matter of figuring out the exact right way to do it. And they have enough issues with probably, trying to make sure their servers don't burn down right now.
Yeah. Goddamn, I just heard about Nintendo stock going up 50%. I'm like, oh, okay. But hopefully there is something here that can teach them the usefulness of getting to a wider audience and like what that can do for you. I'm hoping that the seeds planted in Pokemon Go will end up with, I just want CD Projekt Red to make a Pokemon game. That's all I want. That's what I want.
That is a pipe dream, my friend.
Yes, like it's right there with I want CD Projekt Red to come under the EA banner and make a Boba Fett game.
Nah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's so dumb. No.
It's not. You bite your tongue. That'd be awesome. Boba Fett is essentially Geralt.
No. I don't think so at all.
Space Geralt.
I don't ever want to see CD Projekt Red go under anybody's banner.
No. In a world where you could write that down on a piece of paper and be like, that'd be fucking cool. But no, I seriously wouldn't. I think they have too much creative talent.
And they're working on Cyberpunk. I'd much rather see that than stupid Star Wars game.
Oh yeah. I'm super looking forward to Cyberpunk.
Yeah, when that comes out in 2025.
It'll be like 2018, probably, maybe.
Wait, when is Cyberpunk set? Is it like 2027 or something?
2077.
It'll at least hit before then, at least, hopefully.
Well, they've already given you the release dates right there in the name.
Is that what it is? Cyberpunk 2077?
That sounds right.
I think so.
Sure.
That sounds right, yeah.
Cyberpunk a year and another year.
But yeah, that game's gonna be fucking so cool.
Yeah, I just recommended a friend, he had a really good day with tips the other day, and so late night he gives me a call. He's like, so if I wanted to buy one game, what should I get? I'm like, dude, Witcher 3. Like, without fucking reservation. He calls me today, and he went and got Witcher 3, and he's like, and I also picked up this other game called, Battle Mage.
Oh, Jesus.
No.
And I was just like audibly, I was like,
who let him buy that game? That's what I want.
Apparently a dude at his work said it was really good, and I was like, I don't want to insult this guy I don't know, but he's probably fucking wrong. I haven't played Battle Mage, but I played the other game they made this year, and it was fucking garbage. Yeah, or at least the publisher put out this year, which was Alekine's Gun. What a joyful fuckfest. That game is seriously like a fever dream to me, because I did not want to play it. It was such an unpleasant experience, but I literally one night just stayed up until the break of dawn, like strung out and tired and like just fucking, I gotta finish this, and it was a nightmare. Anyway, yeah, CD Projekt Red, pretty good. Pokemon Go, pretty good.
Have you been playing it all, Jordan?
No,
Yeah, I don't think so, yeah.
I am using a shitty phone, and I kind of want to, but Jill has been playing a shit ton of it, and yeah, it's really cool too, because she has no real like reference point for Pokemon. Like, Pokemon was a huge part of my childhood, but she wasn't really into that, Pokemon or Digimon, so like to see her get into, like, I don't know, I'll come home and she'll be like, oh, I caught this squirrel thing, and I'll be like, a squirrel? She'll be like, no. I'll be like, a Sandshrew? She'll be like, no. I'll be like, an Eevee? She says, like, I think. And it's just like this cool, I don't know, it's cool that like Pokemon are taking over the world again, and it's all Gen 1. This has been basically engineered from the ground up to be for millennials. Like everything about it, from the fact that it's for smartphones to the fact that it's just the original 151, like, is meant to tap into nostalgia. And it's a vicious nostalgia machine. Like, it's working. And yeah, I would like to see, at the risk of kind of eliminating the place that other Pokemon games would have, I would like to see this game be deeper and be more Pokemon-esque.
One can hope.
Yeah. But who knows how far Niantic would go with that, and Like seriously, if this game was just Pokemon, like with the trading and the, 4 moves, leveling up and battling, like, nobody would fucking buy a Pokemon game. Cause like, the real joy in those games is finding them and collecting them and evolving them and leveling them up. And if you can do that without spending, $40 every year, or, by spending, $20 on a microtransaction in the palm of your hand and your back pocket, like, why wouldn't you? But yeah, it's been weird to see, like, the critical reaction, like, in the game sphere of this thing, being like, this is, like, not much of a game. And I was thinking about this earlier, like, it really isn't. Like if you were to judge it purely as its merits as a game, it's kind of a bad game. But I think its appeal kind of goes beyond that. As with a lot of, mobile-based games like Flappy Bird and Angry Birds and the other bird games, by necessity of having such a wide audience, it has to be super accessible. It has to be super easy to grasp just off the bat. You have to have a very basic interface, and then what you get is a huge fucking audience who always wants to play it. Which, I mean, they nailed it. Like, good on Nintendo for making this deal, because I think it's I don't know, if it doesn't at least make them a shit ton of money, it will at least open a lot of avenues.
Yeah, that's no doubt about that. It is a phenomenon right now.
Yeah, like a phenomenon that in the beginning I was like, oh, this is like Minecraft, or this is like, every time a GTA game comes out or something like that, but it is transcending that. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in the gaming sphere. Like, it has people who couldn't give two shits about Pokemon. It has, like, Pokemon veterans coming together in solidarity and, like, Like, just the other night, there was like 200 people down in the park a couple blocks from my house. Like, just fucking looking for Pokemon. Like a bunch of grown-ass people, like, with jobs and cars and house payments and shit, out looking for Pikachus and Squirtles. This is, what a time to be alive. Holy shit.
I'd say it's bigger than, GTA and all that stuff. Like, because it is just accessible. 99% of the people that live in this country have a phone that you can download this for free on.
And I mean, Pokemon has a mass appeal. Like, it is, it's fun for kids, it's fun for adults. They have cute Pokemon, they have badass Pokemon. Like, it's everything you could want in a game, minus a lot of the gameplay.
Yeah, it is simplistic, but it is still, like, kind of this weird thing that is still fun without having, like, that really hard kind of JRPG stuff that most Pokemon games would have of, like, leveling up, doing this, build your team, blah, blah, blah. Like, it has those, but just, like, kind of simplified versions.
Yeah, because it could be like, hey, if I just want to go out and catch every single Pokemon, obviously location based
Matters,
or not,
quote unquote.
if I want to catch as many as possible, I can just do that. I don't have to just go battle gyms to do that. So
you get some sweet bonuses though, but man, are people fucking just ruthless. They are like, people are they must just be doing this all the time. Like, I don't know, for the people that maybe don't play games as much, like other games, and they're just like kind of normal people that are hanging out on their phones with nothing else to do. Like, every time I see like a gym change, and you're like, wow, man, I can't believe somebody else came in and dethroned that guy. Like, 20 minutes later, that guy just decided to go back and reclaim the throne. And I did a gym one morning, like kind of when it was pretty new. It was near my work, and I was like, cool, I got a Pokemon in the gym, that's really cool. Because it didn't even know how it worked yet. And then it was like, I got home and I was like, man, I'm a gym leader, that's rad. And then like an hour later, it was like, never mind, okay. Somebody went back and took it back from me. And they are ruthless, they are always going to be there. It's weird, like people must be just sitting at these street corners, they're playing every day. People that are like level 20, and I'm like, how? I'm not even 10 yet, and I feel like I've been playing a lot.
Yeah, that's the kind of, that shit happened when Overwatch came out too, is like it's weird to think about if you live a well-adjusted life and with a job, and you have to go to school, and you have to devote time to other things like a website. It's weird to think about I've been putting, when you think to yourself, maybe I shouldn't play this game so much, and you're level 20 and somebody else is level 100, it kind of has this very nice soothing effect.
I saw a guy in Overwatch that had prestige 3 times.
Fuck.
3 stars below his name. I was like, how is that possible? I've put past 40 hours in that game. I've been playing a lot, nigh every day, playing competitive and stuff. I'm like, man, I've only been playing Overwatch. That's crazy. And I'm like, I'm not anywhere near the level of some of these people that have put in 187 hours since it came out.
Yeah. And then you get into this thing of well, I want to be Farah, but they're level 99, so maybe they should be Farah?
Nah, because that game, that's just time they put in, doesn't mean they're good.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now the skill rating comes in, and you're like, you suck because you're 1 level lower than me. I'm playing this character.
I actually need to finish my placement matches. I play a little competitive.
It's fun. It's really fucking fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. I'm super excited for the future content they put in. I keep feeling so bad because for whatever reason I keep seeing Battleborn in my Facebook feed or on deals at GameStop.
Deals because no one's buying it yet.
Yeah, it was what was it, 40% off or something crazy like that.
They're giving it away, yeah.
Yeah, it's just I honestly feel bad for the makers of that game because they obviously put a lot of time and care into trying to make something that was fun and unique. And again, don't want to bring up the semantic argument of comparing the two because they're not the same, but it was just so overshadowed by better games that came out. That's fucking nuts.
Yep. Anyways, we should probably roll out of here. It's been a while.
Alrighty.
If you're playing Pokemon Go with your kids, make sure they don't walk into the street and get killed by a car.
Just turn fucking AR off. If you're playing it with AR on, you're doing it wrong anyway.
I turned it off. I was like, this is annoying. And I turned it off. I was like, oh, this is so much better.
So much easier.
Although, the initial, it's kind of cool. When there is an Eevee standing in the middle of a street and you throw a Pokeball and it rolls down the street, it's alright.
Do that for the first hour and then turn it off.
Yeah, once you get absolutely over the cool novelty of it, and you're like, now fuck this, gotta get serious. Turn it off, and it makes it way better.
What are your guys' best catches so far?
I mean, best Pokemon or just Pokemon I've caught?
Best Pokemon. Or, I mean, in your opinion, like, every great Pokemon is subjective. Some idiots out there think, like, I don't know, Lickitung is cool.
Well, my favorite Pokemon is Cyndaquil, but that's not in this game.
Word.
But I have a pretty high, like, Vaporeon and stuff.
Hey, mine too. I have a 1300 one.
Yeah, one of the gyms near me has, like, a 1200 Snorlax or something. I was like, if I haven't fucking seen a Snorlax. And I don't have anything near 1000, Kev. I don't know what hacks you did, but...
I'm real good at the Pokemons.
God, it's crazy. My highest was like 540 something. It's that Vaporeon. Just because EV goes up like a fuckload when you evolve it.
Yeah, exactly.
I did after I did, like, because it was a 149 EV that went to like a 500 Vaporeon. And I have another EV right now that's already like 234. So whenever I get there, that'll probably be huge. But I also have like a pretty high Pinsir, a high Pidgeot. I don't know. The game's not loading right now, so I can't even open it.
Nope, it's not.
Pidgeots are actually kind of bumming me out because I always thought Pidgeotos were pretty fucking dope, but they're kind of everywhere, which kind of makes them less cool.
I know. It's like, whatever. If it does have location stuff, since I live in the city, it's like fucking birds.
Like, whose fucking idea was it to make, like, Fearow and Spearow rarer than a Pidgey?
Oh, I see those all the time here.
I see more Spearows than I do Pidgeys anymore.
Nah, we're filthy with Pidgeys and Rattatas over here.
I've seen so many Pidgeys. Like, that was the first, like, I had all three versions of, like, I have Pidgey, Pidgeotto, and Pidgeot, like, within hours. Because it was just like, every time I would open the game, Pidgeys as far as the eye could see. And, yeah, the Rattatas as well. And some Oddish.
It's a
and Execute.
hell of a game.
I haven't seen any, like, fire types or... I've seen one water type and stuff. Like, I just keep getting the same shit over and over, and it's so fucking annoying.
Yeah, first day, we got like a Ponyta and
what
a
the fuck? I haven't seen shit.
Yeah, I've gotten some Vulpix.
I know, oh man.
I got a Poliwag last night.
Can we?
Super dope.
Yeah, that one.
Can we talk about the aspect of, like, grinding these Pokemon down and feeding them to other Pokemon and how fucked
you
that
don't
is?
feed them to other Pokemon. You send them back to the professor who makes
And
Pokemon
what do you think he
meat pies
does
out
to
of
make them?
He makes candy.
Yeah, and then you feed them to the other Pokemon to make them stronger. Here, eat this Squirtle.
Yeah, it's
also, I just understood listening to the Giant Beast cast this week that Squirtle is a squirrel turtle.
We're not going to get into it. Anyways, we're going to go now because we said we're going to go and then we didn't go, and so we're going now. Bye.